guys, Caleb here, and it looks like we'll be finishing off Goosebumps month with the Headless Ghost. And the little catchphrase is so terrible. Major headache. The book cover is better than at least The Ghost Next Door because we actually see a headless ghost coming down some stairs. I will say that the ghost's hand on the railing looks weird to me. I don't think a hand turns naturally like that. It looks like instead of having a wrist, he has an arm and then just a hand that's tilted strangely sideways. But maybe that's just the perspective, but the hand looks strange. So the back. They've got a real head start. Yes, the puns. Everyone knows about Hill House. It's the biggest tourist attraction in town. That's because it's haunted. Haunted by the ghost of a 13-year-old boy. Wait, 13? That does not look like a 13-year-old boy on the cover. That is not a 13-year-old boy. A boy with no head. Dwayne and Stephanie love Hill House. It's dark and creepy and totally scary. Still, they've never actually seen the ghost until the night they decide to go on a search. A search for his head. Reader beware, you're in for a scare. Goosebumps. Also available from R.L. Stine, The Abominable Snowman of Pasadena. Yes, I'm really sorry for that. But hey, come on, anytime you see Pasadena, you know that song's going through your head. So, let's get started. Stephanie, Alpert, and I haunt our neighborhood. Clever. We got the idea last Halloween. There are a lot of kids in our neighborhood, and we like to haunt them and give them a little scare. Sometimes we sneak out late at night in masks and stare into kids' windows, 'cause that's safe and not gonna get the cops called on you. Sometimes we leave rubber hands and rubber fingers on windowsills. Sometimes we hide disgusting things in mailboxes. Sometimes Stephanie and I duck down behind bushes or trees and make the most frightening sounds, animal howls and ghostly moans. Stephanie can do a terrifying werewolf howl, and I can toss back my head and shriek loud enough to shake the leaves on the trees. We keep almost all the kids on our block pretty frightened, because we're douchebags. In the mornings, we catch them peeking out their doors, seeing if it's safe to come out, and at night, most of them are afraid to leave their houses alone. Stephanie and I are really proud of that, because we're douchebags. During the day, we are just Stephanie, Alpert, and Dwayne Comack, two normal 12-year-olds. But at night, we become the twin terrors of Wheeler Falls. Do we really like naming our town like after falls and things like that? Okay. No one knows. No one. Look at us. And you see two 6th graders at Wheeler Middle School. Both of us have brown eyes, brown hair. Both of us are tall and thin. Stephanie is a few inches taller because she has higher hair? Higher hair. You're really trying to compensate for something that stupid by saying she has higher hair. Guys, stop being stupid. Some people see us hanging out together and think we're brother and sister, but we're not. We don't have any brothers and sisters, and we don't mind one bit. We live across the street from one another. We walk to school together in the morning. We usually trade lunches, even though our parents both pack us peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. We're normal, totally normal. except for a secret late-night hobby. How did we become the Twin Terrors? Well, it's sort of a long story. Last Halloween was a cool, clear night. A full moon floated over the bare trees. I was standing outside Stephanie's front window in my Scary Grim Reaper costume. There's something wrong with these kids. I swear there is something wrong with these kids. I stood up on my tiptoes, trying to peek inside to check out her costume. Again, because people aren't going to call the cops on you. Because they totally know that that's something normal people do, right? Peeking into other people's windows. Hey, beat it, Dwayne. No looking, she shouted through the closed window. Then she pulled down the shade. I just want to say something, not trying to sound racist or anything, but isn't Dwayne more of a African American name? I don't know, that just, when I see Dwayne, I imagine a black dude. But what do I know? She shouted through the closed window, then she pulled down the shade. I wasn't looking, I was just stretching, I shouted back. I was eager to see what Stephanie was going to be. Every Halloween, she comes up with something awesome. The year before, she came waddling out inside a huge ball of green toilet paper. You guessed it, she was an iceberg lettuce. How could I guess that? That probably doesn't even, that just looks like a really shitty mummy costume. Whatever. But this year, I thought maybe I had her beat. I worked really hard on my Grim Reaper costume. I wore high platform shoes, so high that I'd tower over Stephanie. My black hooded cape swung along the ground. I hid my curly brown hair under a tight rubber skull cap, and I smeared my face with sick-looking makeup, the color you see on moldy bread. My dad didn't want to look at me. He said I turned his stomach. A success! I couldn't wait to make Stephanie sick. I banged my Grim Reaper sickle on Stephanie's window. Hey, Steph, hurry up, I called. I'm getting hungry. I want candy. I want candy. Da, 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 da. I waited and waited. I started pacing back and forth across her front lawn, my long cape sweeping over the grass and dead leaves. Hey, where are you? I called again. No Stephanie. With an impatient groan, I turned back to the house, and a huge, hairy animal jumped me from behind and chewed off my head. Well, that was a really short story. I guess I'll have to go grab another book. Oh, wait. Well, it didn't really chew off my head, but it tried to. It growled and tried to sink its gleaming fangs into my throat. Fangs into my throat. I staggered back. The creature looked like an enormous black cat covered in thick black bristles. Gobs of yellow goo poured from its hairy ears and black nose. Its long pointed fangs glowed in the dark. The creature snarled again and shot out a hairy paw. Candy. Give me your candy. Stephanie? I choked out. It was Stephanie, wasn't it? The creature jabbed its claws into my stomach in reply. That's when I recognized Stephanie's Mickey Mouse watch on its hairy wrist. Wow, Stephanie, you look awesome. You really? I didn't finish. Stephanie ducked behind the hedge and yanked me down beside her. My knees hit the sidewalk hard. Ow! Are you crazy? I shrieked. What's the big idea? A group of little kids in costumes paraded by. Stephanie left out of the hedge. Arrgh! She growled. The little kids totally freaked. They turned and started to run. 3 of them dropped their trick-or-treat bags. Stephanie scooped up the bags. Yum! Again, douchebags. Whoa, you really scared them, I said, watching the little kids run up the street. That was cool, because we're dicks. Stephanie started to laugh. She has a high, silly laugh that always starts me laughing too. It sounds like a chicken being tickled. Cluck, 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 cluck. Whatever. That was kind of fun. In a douchey way, she replied. More fun than trick-or-treating. Because it was never fun to legitimately dress up in an awesome costume and go to people's houses and be like, give me candy, in which I received candy, and then after a couple hours, I'd go home and I'd eat said candy. And then sometimes get an apple or something. Yeah, okay. That, kind of fun. Okay, yeah, I read that. So we spent the rest of the night scaring kids. We didn't get much candy, but we had a great time. I wish we could do this every night, I exclaimed as we walked home. We can, Stephanie said, grinning. It doesn't have to be Halloween to scare kids, Dwayne. Get my meaning? I got her meaning. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Hear what I'm saying? She tossed back her bristly head and let out her chicken laugh, and I laughed too. And that's how Stephanie and I started haunting our neighborhood. Late at night, the twin terror strike. Up and down our neighborhood. We're everywhere. We're everywhere. Well, almost everywhere. There's one place in our neighborhood that even Stephanie and I are afraid of. It's an old stone house on the next block. It's called Hill House. I guess that's because it sits up on a high hill on Hill Street. Clever. So clever. I know, a lot of towns have a haunted house, but Hill House really is haunted. Stephanie and I know that for sure, because that's where we met the Headless Ghost. Hill House is the biggest tourist attraction in Wheeler Falls. Actually, it's the only one. Maybe you've heard of Hill House. It's written up in a lot of books. I don't know if this is a real thing or not. Tour guides in creepy black uniforms give the Hill House tour every hour. The guides will act real scary and tell frightening stories about the house. Some of the ghost stories give me cold shivers. Stephanie and I love to take the tour, especially with Otto. Otto is our favorite guide. Otto is big and bald and scary looking. He has tiny black eyes that seem to stare right through you, and he has a booming voice that comes from deep inside his huge chest. I'm assuming this is a guy character admiring an older man's huge chest. Yes, I know, I'm pulling at strings, I'm sorry. Sometimes when Otto leads us from room to room in the old house, he lowers his voice to a whisper. He talks so low we can barely hear him. Then his tiny eyes will bulge. He'll point and scream, "There's the ghost there!" Stephanie and I always scream. Even Otto's smile is scary. Stephanie and I have taken the Hill House tour so often we could probably be tour guides. We know all the creepy old rooms, all the places where the ghosts have been spotted. Real ghosts. It's the kind of place we love. Do you want to know the story of Hill House? Well, here's the story that Otto, Edna, and the other guides tell. Hill House is 200 years old, and it's been haunted practically from the day the stones were gathered to build it. This really sounds like, around here in the Knoxville area is, the Millennium Mansion. I'm reading this and I'm getting flashbacks to the Millennium Mansion. But anyway, a young sea captain built the house for his new bride, but the day the big house was finished, the captain was called out to sea. His young wife moved into the huge house all alone. It was cold and dark, and the rooms and hallways seemed to stretch on forever. For months and months she stared out of their bedroom window, the window that faced the river, waiting patiently for the captain's return. Winter passed, then spring, then summer, but he never came back. The captain was lost at sea. 1 year after the sea captain disappeared, a ghost appeared in the halls of Hill House. The ghost of the young sea captain. He had come back from the dead, back to find his wife. Every night he floated through the long twisting halls. He carried a lantern and called out his wife's name, Annabel, Annabel. But Annabel never answered. In her grief, she had fled from the old house. She never wanted to see it again. Another family had moved in. As the years passed, many people heard the ghost's nightly calls. Annabel, Annabel, through the twisting halls and cold rooms of the house. Annabel, Annabel. People heard the sad, frightening calls, but no one ever saw the ghost. Then, 100 years ago, a family named Craw bought the house. The Craws had a 13-year-old boy named Andrew. Andrew was a nasty, mean-natured boy. He delighted in playing cruel tricks on the servants. He scared them out of their wits. Sounds like a pair of dumbasses, I know. Gee, I can't really place my finger on it, though, but, yeah, makes me think of them. He once threw a cat out of a window. He was disappointed when it survived. What an asshole! What an asshole! What an asshole! I don't feel sorry for the ghost anymore. What an asshole! Even Andrew's own parents couldn't stand to spend time with the mean-tempered boy. He spent his days on his own, exploring the old mansion, looking for trouble he could get into. One day he discovered a room he had never explored before. He pushed open the heavy wooden door. It let a loud creak. Then he stepped inside. A lantern glowed dimly on the small table. The boy saw no other furniture in the large room, no one at the table. How strange, he thought. Why should I find a burning lantern in an empty room? Andrew approached the lantern. As he leaned down to lower the wick, the ghost appeared, the sea captain. Over the years, the ghost had grown into an old and terrifying creature. He had long white fingernails that curled in spirals. Cracked black teeth poked out from behind swollen dry lips, and a scraggly white beard hid the ghost's face from view. The boy stared in horror. Who are you? He stammered. The ghost didn't utter a word. The ghost didn't utter a word. He floated in the yellow lantern. I can't talk now. The ghost didn't utter a word. He floated in the yellow lantern light, glaring hard at the boy. Who are you? What do you want? Why are you here? The boy demanded. When the ghost still didn't reply, Andrew turned and tried to run. But before he moved 2 steps, he felt the ghost's cold breath on his neck. Andrew grabbed for the door, but the ghost swirled around him. Swirled darkly, a swirl of black smoke in the dim yellow light. No, stop, the boy screamed. Let me go. The ghost's mouth gaped open, revealing a bottomless black hole. Finally, it spoke, in a whisper that sounded like the scratch of a dead... Wait, scratch of a dead? Oh, no, I accidentally added an A in there. Like the scratch of dead leaves. Now that you have seen me, you cannot leave. No, the boy shrieked. Let me go! Let me go! The ghost ignored the boy's cries. He repeated his dry, cold words. Now that you have seen me, you cannot leave. The old ghost raised his hands to the boy's head. His icy fingers spread over Andrew's face. The hands tightened. Do you know what happened next? He killed the boy and ripped off his head. Thank goodness, because this kid's an asshole for throwing cats out the freaking window. So, that was the Headless Ghost. If you're interested and can find this book anywhere, pick it up. It seems fine. I just don't like it's taking so long to set up. Then again, it's a kid's book. Probably has a word count or something he has to fill. So he's got to fill it in some way with a long, boring introduction that's drawn out. I mean, if you want to read it, fine. But I'm just like, the characters are douchebags. The ghost character apparently is a douchebag. Like, the only character I actually give two shits about is the ghost of the captain. If there really is a captain's ghost or something. Maybe that's that. Well, no, the captain isn't headless. I don't know, but anyway. Yeah, there's your Headless Ghost. I don't want to say I give it a heads up. Yeah. I don't want to say I give it a thumbs up for reading, but there's technically nothing wrong with it. If, like I said, if you liked the little I've read of it, and you can find it, by all means go read it. But I don't like douchebag characters. If my characters are douchebags, I want them to be the villains, and clearly villains that get their butts handed to them in the end. So, that's it for Goosebumps month. I hope you enjoyed, and if you really liked, I will try to read more Goosebumps next year. And I guess I'll read Goosebumps until I run out of Goosebumps to read. And then I'll probably start reading some of the Resident Evil novels or something. Anything that looks Halloween horror-ish will probably be read around October. So with that out of the way, this ends Goosebumps month. This has been Read Not. I'm Caleb. Thank you for listening. Bye!